gentlemen, Second Jiba will now dedicate this song to the Liberian people. After a period of 133 years of one-party system, it is the time that the Liberian people will vote and choose their own leader. So let us all
I have no copyright to this song.
A peaceful election for unity and prosperity. Yeah! Ooh la la!
Yep.
This world is not for war.
Yeah.
God made all of us to be together. Let us walk. Black, white, brown, red.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm in the kitchen. I am your host, Yasendi Martin Peye, Dr. Peye, only wife, okay, and love, all right. We're in the kitchen this morning, so we're gonna add some voice to the kitchen. Attorney Jackson is joining us today for us to cook up some soup that is good for the soul. See here, the law is the law, right? See my shirt? Y'all know I have this shirt, right? Yes, the law is the law from Musability. All right, you'll remember this one, 2022, 2021, however. So it just came in handy, and I have it. Still trying to get Anthony down on the air in Liberia. I'm not sure what's going on. I'm not sure if they're out of power, but we're going to talk about today about the opinion of the Supreme Court. That's number one. Okay. Two, we're going to expand on the role and the responsibility of the judiciary. You know, we hear people everybody interpreting the law, okay, in all areas of everything else in Liberia, okay? The Supreme Court is the final arbiter. They decide if something is lawful or not. It does not matter what branch of government they're in. It does not matter if it's the legislative decision. It is the jurisdiction or the prerogative of the Supreme Court to deem it lawful or unlawful, which should be constitutional or unconstitutional. They decide that, you know, based on our law system, based on our governance system. So we're going to bring on a lawyer who is an expert in that area, especially who practice law in Liberia. Okay, I live in America. In America, you got general practice and people specialize. I'm not sure Liberia laws. If people specialize, you got family lawyers. Okay, you got real estate lawyers. You got corporate lawyers. You got criminal lawyers. You got defense lawyer. You got all of these different segment patents and all of these different subgroup of laws that people specialize in. I know in Liberia, most things are general, just like in the medical field is general. Okay, so we're gonna bring them. We'll waste no time. We'll bring their training on. If I can get Anthony on, we will relay this in Liberia so you have an opportunity to listen. So if you're here, please join with me. Please share. Let's have a conversation. I will put a number up. I will want you to call. Should you have, I'm doing well. Should you have questions? Let's interact. The goal here is to bring people who understand certain environment, okay, in respect to specialization, right? And bring them on to educate us. And we educate them because they can learn from us where we stand, our understanding, and we can learn from them also. So at this point, I will bring on Attorney Jackson. Okay, so what will we cooking up today? We will be cooking up. Okay, as I stated, we will be bringing on Attorney Jackson. All right, so today in the kitchen, we will be on legal diet. Okay, last week we talked about elections. We talked about doing the right thing. Before I bring Attorney Jackson, I want to say something to your Liberian people. I need you to understand me. Okay, I'm not the one that you will abuse and put it on the side and say it was election. If at any time and place that you disrespect me because of situation, you have no respect for me. Don't come later and say, let's come together. I'm not coming together with you. You and I are not together. I strongly believe, I live in a house with my husband who is an independent. Okay, vote based on his moral compass or compass, where he's headed. Okay, he does not disrespect me because he believes in certain candidate. He educated me why. If I like, I join. If I don't, I don't. I and my brother both were on to in 2017. I supported Alexander Cummings. He supported Pape Boaka. He did not disrespect me. He tried to stop me. He called my mother, and my mom told him, are you paying your plane ticket to go to library? I said, no, her husband paying her plane ticket, right? Yes. Go support who you want to support. My daughter will support who she wants to support. You cannot try to diminish me when you want something in a needy and wanted something. Then come back to me and say, oh, the elections are over. It was just election. No, you and I are not doing that. That's for people who used to abuse or who used to people being abused. Either you're an abuser or you are the one that they're abusing. I don't get to get in the ring with you. I don't get to be on the scene with you. Okay? You can disagree with me on issues, on topic, okay, on belief system, but you will never disrespect me and come back with your craziness called reconciliation. There's nothing to reconcile. I've already reconciled with myself. I already forgiven you, but I ain't got to deal with you. That's the way I see it. That my moral, that is my belief system. That's how I live. That said, I'm going to bring the attorney on. All right, folks, here we go. Liberians, here we go. I'm going to play this song for my attorney here that says that we need our own Ibrahim Traore. All right, and then I'm going to bring it on. Liberia needs one. No, I'm not inciting anything. I just said we need one. We need our own liberator. It does not have to come in that sense, but Liberia needs her own liberator. And I want to say, I have no copyright to this. I want to say a big thank you to Akon for adding his voice, because this is the voice.
The people changing it. Yes. The streets of Waka, your name is loud. Keep blocking floating, standing tall and proud. You carry the hope, you fight for the land. Keep blocking floating with a strong guiding hand. The winds of change are blowing strong. Keep blocking.
The wind of change is blowing strong. Ibrahim Traore. That's what it is. Yes. See with you, right, sis? That is that. Those are men who respect themselves. I mean, you will not disrespect me and come back and say, look, you take that junk and carry it to your bushes because you're used to being there. Half of you're from bear to bear, from place to place, house to house. So being abused is nothing to them. For them, it is. So they can take their narcissistic behavior, those of them who are the abuser, and carry it, okay? Those sexist and carry it. Don't reach out to me. I'm not on your path. Wherever you call yourself on your agenda, Liberia agenda, Nima agenda. No, I'm not interested in that. I've seen that so many times. But let me come on to attorney here, right here. Whoa, Attorney Jackson, are you there? Attorney Jackson, are you there? Okay, I'm gonna wait for him to come. He was just here and he's not there. Okay, So I'm going to continue this conversation. So let me go. When he comes, I will bring him on. So I'm just going to amplify me so until he shows up, and then I'll bring him. So today, again, like I said, we're going to be talking about a few things. I need you to know this, okay? Here we go. I hear everybody, even the call center workers, the nurses, who have not gone out to study or into all of this. I hear people say, if you're not a lawyer or so stay, yes. On the decision process, I would say yes. On the civil process, I would say no. Okay. Thank you, bro. Okay. I would say to you that that's why we have been pushing for. We have been pushing that Liberia teach in the school system civic. Okay. The function of government, we learn it here in elementary school. Okay. By middle school, you should be able to differentiate their different functions. You will know the different type of government that rule and the most popular one. Like for instance, if we want to talk about the most popular form of democracy, okay, would be what? Representative democracy. Even if it's parliamentary or parliamentary and what's the other one? God help me, my brain gone there. Okay, it will come to my mind. My brain not functioning this morning, but they all are representative democracy. Okay, so in we say in parliamentary, what happened? The people elect the parliament elects the prime minister or the president, whoever the leader, the head of the state is. Okay, give me 1 second. My brain is now getting it together. I'm coming. I don't know. She's not here. I'm trying to look for him to see where he is. Counselor, are you there? I just saw him. Counselor, how you going? Okay, he's not there. He's working. But I'm going to leave that alone, and I will come back to that when my brain reset. That's my brain.
Sorry.
Oh, okay. The attorney is here.
Sorry.
Okay, here we go. Attorney Jackson, how are you today?
I'm doing very good. It's my pleasure being here. To join Mr. Quay, one and only heartbeat in the kitchen.
That's meant to that. I think it's just good here. But let's set it tune.
Yeah.
Okay. Constitutional, yes. That's not even what I was looking for, but I will tell you what I was looking for. Parliamentary is something, it will come to mind. Let's establish some background here. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you? Where have you practiced? And yes. And so a little background, you maybe a 3-minute talk to
yeah, I mean, again, I thank you. I mean, I really don't need introduction, but as it is the protocol of your program, let me say that my name is Atty Jackson. I was born in the Softon Post City of Buchanan, Grand Bassa County. I hold a Bachelor of Science degree in economics, which is my first degree, with a minor in political science from the University of Liberia. I hold an LLB, a Bachelor of Law, from the Louis Addo Grant School of Law, University of Liberia. And then I went to London. I went to one of the prestigious universities in Great Britain, England, London. I went to Birkbeck, University of London. where I am Master of Laws in International Economic Law, Justice and Development. And so I have a wealth of experience in government. I served as Assistant Minister for Culture and later got promoted to Assistant Minister for Information Services and also got elevated to Deputy Minister for Press and Public Affairs. Today, the government's powers have yet to produce anybody who will unmatched my record at public affairs. And then the former President Selly was impressed with my credential, with the work I did at MICA. And he asked me to represent my country at the International Maritime Organization headquarters in London. And I represented Liberia at the IMO as its permanent representative. Currently, I'm in the US and I'm on the hustle. I've been trying to get myself hooked up with some law firms. We are in serious conversation. But I'm glad to be on the show and to express my view relative to what's obtaining on the home front. What's obtaining in our country is quite interesting. And it's important for us to come and share light with our people. There is a quote from the current Chief Justice, which I think is very impressive. It's making the rounds on Facebook and the social media platforms, various social media platforms. And the quote attributed to honor the Chief Justice is that many times when people start to discuss, they will say, I am not a lawyer, but. You see, as long as you make the acknowledgement that you are not a lawyer, then you can't claim authority again. You got to keep quiet small for the lawyers to know, to explain what they know the law to be. And I think it's a good caution because many people think, they are lawyer just by associating or by hearing people or just by reading the text. Now, people go to school to learn these things. One person that I spent sufficient time with, though late, is one of America's respected jurists, Antonio Scalia, Justice Antonio Scalia. And he's a knowledgeable guy. He's giving, several interpretations of legal text. And if you don't go to school, one of his most popular books, I think prestigious book, is what Reading Law. If you read a book, and you would realize that there are certain things that lawyer will do. There are certain understanding, there are certain meaning they will bring to text that you, supposed to be an ordinary guy, will not be able to supply that meaning. From an ordinary perspective, you can say what you want to say, but the lawyer will see it differently. So yes, I'm happy to be here and to, basically drive home what's obtaining and to share some light on what happened in Liberia.
Yes, thank you. I also want to add to that, but yes, people do specialize. I think initially, especially in this country, most lawyers in this country were by apprenticeship, studying under somebody, even in Liberia those days, and extensive work to understand. First, you have to understand the foundation, where law comes from, what type of law there were before we got to here, and what are the origin. All right. But I like to add that, and I just add my own. But now we can also surmise, though, you have an attorney general in Liberia, which would be what the Minister of Justice, who misinterpreted the law. Then what should we say? Was it intentional? Was there a missteps, or was it intentional? But something we can talk to. So let's come back to why we are here today. Right.
We get to what Councilor Tua did. I think you're right too, because in Liberia, apprenticeship was being practiced, but it got outlawed. If I'm not mistaken, I think in 1972 or 1973, Liberia outlawed apprenticeship, apprentice lawyering. And so right now, if you didn't go to the law school to be granted in the law, you will not be allowed to practice law in Liberia. It's been outlawed in Liberia since 1973, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, good. So then let's talk about this, attorney. There's a phrase that goes, the rule of law. What is it particularly useful? What does it mean to me or to other people? I would say, I think I'm an informed really informed citizen because I have some background in, intro to all of that. But the everyday Liberian, all the world at large, what does that mean, the rule of law? What does the pertain?
Thank you for the question. It is important for us to understand this. The rule of law is what I would consider the cardinal ingredient in the democratic recipe. You cannot talk about the existence of democracy absent the rule of law, without the respect for the rule of law. So the rule of law basically provides the framework for governance that protects individual rights and ensure fairness and basically prevent the abuse of power. And to simplify rule of law, what rule of law in the simplest form, what it is that all of us, whether we live in Liberia, if you're in Liberia, all of us in Liberia, we are subject to one law. No one is above the law. The law is superior to all social classes. So the law is above the president, it's above everybody. We are all subject to the law. No one is above the law. And when you talk about the rule of law, one of the things that comes into sharp focus, which is something that you started the conversation with, is the check and balances provided for in the context of the rule of law. What does that mean? Checks and balances say there are three branches of the government. Each of the branch of the government has its own role that it performs. It says that the legislature, it makes the law. The legislature makes the law. The executive execute or carry out the law.
That is correct.
And then you have the judiciary. And one person who really defined the role of the judiciary is one of America's outstanding jurists, Chief Justice John Marshall. And the way he puts it is that he said, it is the preference, the area, it is the preference of the judiciary to say what the law is. So the judiciary is the responsibility is to interpret, to say what the law is. John Marshall being so, I think he was one of the longest serving Chief Justices of the United States Supreme Court. His judicial dexterity was so pronounced that on his leadership, he brought about this principle of law, which they call judicial review. The principle of judicial review sprang out of this case called Marlborough versus Madison, where Marshall says that, look, it is only the court, the judiciary, that can declare as unlawful the action of whether the executive or the legislature. Only the judiciary can do that within the framework and the principle of judicial review. So that's what the rule of law is. All of us are subject to the law. We should abide by the law. Nobody is above the law. We should all oblige when the court speaks. And there are ample evidence all across the world where when the court spoke, statements who are worthy of the sort, even though disagree with what the court was saying or said, they all oblige. All oblige. You go down to history. You can't say, oh, I am a law-abiding president or I'm a law-abiding leader, and when the court says something, then you disregard it. Then you are not a law-abiding president. All right? In the United States, in the 30s, it was the United States Supreme Court that struck down what many of the New Deal legislation by President Roosevelt, Franklin
Right.
Roosevelt, right? You
Right.
come down in the 50s, it was the same code that struck down as unconstitutional. The segregated school system, it struck it down. It said, oh, it's unconstitutional. It's not, it happens. In the 70s, the code against, said it was unconstitutional to place limitation on abortion. The court in recent years, in most unfolding history, in the 2000s, the court ruled against, which I think was one of those big cases, big political cases in America. It ruled against Al Gore.
I'll go. Yeah.
And our
Yes.
God being a responsible citizen who
Yeah.
respects the supremacy of the rule of law, he
Rule
said,
of law.
I
Mhm.
disagree with what the court said, but I will respect it. I will
I will
oblige.
respect it. You
That's
did.
what rule of law
You did.
is.
You did.
Even in recent history,
Yes.
if you go to Great Britain, Boris Johnson, Prime Minister of the Great Britain, he
Correct.
prorogued the parliament. And the court said the prorogation of the parliament by Boris Johnson was unlawful. And as such, it was of no effect. Boris Johnson said, oh, I disagree with what the court said, but I will respect it. The next day, the
is
British
correct.
parliament resumed. Boris Johnson, I think he was attending the spring meeting, he had to fly back to England. The parliament resumed immediately. That what shows that the leader is respectful of this cardinal ingredient in this democratic recipe that we call rule of law. Whenever there is not rule of law, respect for the rule of law, what you have is the breakdown of the rule of law. You got chaos, you got anarchy. And
Yes.
any president or leader who doesn't respect the supremacy of what the court says, as commanded by this great American jurist, Justice Marshall, that person is not worthy to be president in any country the world over. So that's how strong the rule of law is.
Thank you so much. Let me come in a little bit, especially for those of us who live in America. In the late 1800s, I'm not going to tell you what date it was, but let me tell you, first of all, what I was looking at about parliamentary and presidential democracy. Okay, those are the two most popular democracy that exist, parliamentary and presidential. So in parliamentary, the citizens elect the legislature, okay, as a representation. The legislature are empowered to vote the next person up, which is the prime minister or whoever the leadership is, okay, or the president for that matter. And in presidential, it's a direct, some sort of, I would say, indirect democracy, because the people directly elect their president. Although in America, there's a layer. That layer is the electoral college within that. So there is a layer. So it's not completely direct. But we elect our municipals, we elect our legislatures, we elect our governor, we elect our city mayors, we elect our superintendent, we elect our judiciary, okay, and then we elect our president. And within the president, we electing our president is collective. You know, I heard Liberian vice president trying to explain what he does not understand. Okay, and I love when the lady say, if you don't know it, shut up. They need to shut up. That's misleading. I don't care what your position is. When you're lying and misleading, you need to shut up. I'm saying it. Okay? Because when you are misleading people, you're disrespecting them. Then you do not need to be respected because you're disrespecting yourself also. So, and I wanted to speak to that. So the way the electoral college work here is, I'm in this house. If everybody in this house vote and you and I on the ballots, we're not carry all. Okay, that's how electoral college work. It's we not care all. So if the 50% in the house and 26 vote for Attorney Jackson, all right, and 24 vote for me, all my vote will go to Attorney Jackson in respect to the electoral college. So that vote is going to be cast for them. But that electoral college moves around and is based on the population, how the college number is apportioned. If the population shifts in New York, either the college number is going to go up or it's going to come down. But let's continue this conversation. The next thing to do is to move on. I wanted to bring that there. So, attorney, we're talking about the rule of law, how it upholds a country, how it makes the country work. Okay. And people, government is simply the way we organize ourselves to live and rule ourselves.
Right.
The type of government we choose has a layer. In democracy, we have 4 cardinal pillars that's supposed to carry you: freedom, justice, okay, representation, and equity. Okay, those 4 layers. But I will come back to the attorney here so you get that. So, Attorney Jackson, let's do this. What do you make of the Supreme Court decision? Okay, in the speakership saga, do you think the decision can be considered a landmark decision? And I will come back and tell you, I think it can, because now it's like the case with what? The Jim Crow, Pleasant was Ferguson, Pleasant was Ferguson, and Jim Crow law, and how Brown was the board on the Jim Crow law, and Pleasant was the Ferguson. What do you think?
Even before I answer the question, it's important for us to emphasize something that you just said, which I think is critical to project. The rule of law is so when the Supreme Court handed down this opinion, there are elements within the Boakas administration who shamelessly, disgracefully announced on Facebook that the court, it has spoken, it has said what it has said, let it go and enforce what it has said. This was downright disgraceful, because never in the history of the separations of power, or within the context of the framework of the rule of law, that the judiciary will enforce or execute. So people who are asking the court to execute its judgment, they are being disingenuous. It's just wrong. And then the other thing that was posted on Facebook that I thought was really sickening was that people were saying, we don't care, whether investor come to the country, it doesn't come, we don't care. Now, people who saying that, they are overwhelmed with power. Because in the absence of the rule of law, the market economy itself will not function adequately. People have to have confidence in the judicial system before they can invest in that system. If the judicial system is such that the president and the government official can be wrong, how dare you put your money in that kind of system? When the government official eats your money, or when the president violates your right, the president will still be right. So it's important for us to respect the rule of law. The president cannot be equated to the law. Other countries around us, their democracy have become stronger. They are attracting more investment. For example, countries like in East Africa, for example, Nairobi, Kenya, when the Kenyan court, like our court, which I will come to, declared that the election of Uhuru Kenyatta was raiding with fraud, and they needed to recount and go back to election, go back to re-election. That could send a strong signal that it was independent, which the rule of law supports an independent judiciary that will be able to hand down impartial opinion. So people started going to invest in Kenya. The same thing what our court is now doing today, demonstrating that it has the backbone to hand down impartial judgment. But again, the government officials are being cheeky, they've been rude, they've been reckless, and saying that, let the court go and execute. Nowhere the court ever executed its own opinion. It just say what the law is. That's what John Marshall said. The court duty is to say what the law is. It is the executive that's supposed to execute, carry out the law. But the question you ask is whether or not.
Attorney Jackson, can you hold your thought there for me? I like you're speaking lawyer term, but let me speak the layman term. The court does not have implementation power.
Exactly, please.
They interpret, they administer, they do their job. That is the role of the executive to implement. If the executive fails Precisely, this is the simplest possible way I can put it, because he's the lawyer. I'm not a lawyer, I'm a layman, but I'm speaking in my understanding because I teach government. Okay, so at least I teach the foundation of how this come to play. Go ahead, attorney. I just wanted to bring
No,
that
but
up.
you're right. You are right. I mean, you're not a lawyer, but you quite intelligent and knowledgeable, so you can read and comprehend and can explain what you read. So
Right.
that's it. I think when the Chief Justice spoke, she was speaking directly to these people who always supplying political interpretation to law,
Mhm.
who are intentionally misleading everybody in the country, and that's what she was talking about. But your
No,
question is
she's good. She
critical.
needed to make that point. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, your question as to whether or not this ruling was a landmark one, obviously it was landmark. It was landmark in the sense, when you talk about landmark, what it means in law, it means the historical significance of the ruling and how it altered the legal landscape. They say, oh, this is a landmark decision because it will go a long way. What the decision has done for Liberia, it has now stopped or placed a guardrail against any president who will take corrupt money and bribe lawmakers to remove speaker. The code
Yeah.
is clear. You can't wake up in the morning, any hour of the day, bring a frivolous resolution and say, oh, now the speaker is removed. The code says you can't do this. So it's landmark in our context. It is shifting how the legislature carry us business, especially related to their speakership. You
Yes.
can't wake up in the morning and do something like that. The other thing, what I think the decision is critically important, and we need to acknowledge the courage of the Chief Justice
The
and
Chief
the
Justice.
justices
Yes.
and the
Yes.
justices of that court is
Yes.
because Liberia judiciary has, for the long history, it has suffered from executive interference. Many of the justices in that court have always kowtowed to the executive, bend their knees. Today, look, from the inception of the court has its own history, where I can go back to enumerate the history of the court. When that court was established, people didn't have much confidence there because every time people went to court, the trouble with the court when it was first established was that many of the people who were chief lawyers in the country, they were members of the Freemason. And when poor people went to court, they would not get judgment because they would throw sand and corrupt the justice system. So people were not going to court. Then the court struggled with that. At some point in time, there was this guy, Russell, I think was the guy. He had he had respect for the law. And so he did some things that restored confidence in the judiciary. And then we again, 1989, the court was at its lowest. We had Justice Ballas there. Justice Ballas there.
No, go back to 1985. 1985 election. Then come to Justice Ballas. Yes, go ahead.
And then the court has problem. So public confidence in the court, 85, the election, how the election went, everybody in the country knew that something was wrong with the election, do racy thing, and people didn't have courage to stand up to him, and things like that. And then we also had to get Dr. Balazar. Later on, he came back 1989, he started bending his knees to do, and 250,000 people got murdered in that country because the court was not independent. The court was bending its knees to the executive. Thank God, after 250,000 people got murdered, we came back and Ellen Johnson Sirleaf appointed a very respected lawyer to be the Chief Justice when she was in office. That person is respected all across the globe. In the West African region, he was celebrated. Johnny Lewis, respected by his peers. Johnny Lewis, though not perfect, but in a way, he restored public confidence in the court. Some of the things he did.
Attorney Jackson, let me beg to defer though.
I mean, you can disagree, but what I'm doing now, I'm giving you a broad. Johnny Lewis has some issues. Let me say this. Let me end this. Johnny Lewis, nobody is perfect. But I'm saying, if you go to the terrible history of the 85, you're talking about, it comes down to 89, Johnny Lewis was by far better, right? His performance was by far better. Because honor his leadership, honor his leadership. Yeah, that's the point I'm making. Honor his leadership. Honor his leadership. He exercised that courage to, on occasion, say no to the president. he was able to punish judges that were deemed to be corrupt, even lawyers, senior lawyers who operated outside of the law. They were punished, they were suspended. Under his leadership, we were able to construct or build more judicial edifices across the country, taking the coast to the people. So by doing all of those, there was at least a scintilla or a modicum of public confidence in a court. So the court, people started going to court because they believed that when they went to court, even if the lawyer were to eat their money, Professor Counsel Michael Jones, one of the very respected lawyers in the country, he was penalized by the Lewis bench. So people started saying, look, we can go to court now and get judgment. There's somebody there who not too afraid of the president, who can take decisions even against lawyers and judges. So we can go. So public confidence in the court started growing. Then we had Justice Cockburn, and Justice Cockburn didn't have too much courage. And I want to be very earnest, even though I indulged we have for the second time, but I will be very earnest, Justice Cockburn started bending his knees to President Weah. He started, basically, directly, kowtowing to the president. And then we have problem. Public confidence in the court again decline. It declined. See, Justice Cockburn presided over the unfortunate, unfair, and illegal removal of one of his peers, Justice Kabina Janet. So public confidence in the court dropped again on Cockburn. This time around, when many people thought the court was being weak because we have 3 female justices on the bench, the court is not showing any sign of weakness. The court is strengthening its backbone and impartially telling the republic what the law is. I think Liberian people have something to learn from here. When we fought the war and killed 250,000 people to resolve the Liberian civil crisis, it took the courage of our women. Liberian women are noted for doing the right thing, the right way, and the right time. It took Lema Bowie and few committed women to fly to Accra, Ghana, to do some things unorthodox, naked themselves and compel the men to sign the Accra Peace Accord. The women did that. They technically brought peace to Liberia. Today, a female justice is serving as the preserver of the sanctity of our democratic constitution. She's
Amen.
not kowtowing. She's not bending for knees.
Amen.
And so you ask the question, what is important? The ruling is critically important. It's landmark. It's going to live all of us. No president will use the executive powers anymore to pay corrupt lawmakers to remove their speaker. And let the court clearly say, you can have whatever number, you can have the majority. When the speaker elected the jury is not presiding, whatever you're doing there is of no effect. The court was clear on it. So, short of the long story is, this was historic. It was a landmark decision by the court. I applaud the women, the 3 female justices on the court. May I remind you, just President Bouaka, we come to President Bouaka, right? But President Bouaka is conducting himself in a shameless manner. He appointed one of those justices on the bench, and even the justice he appointed, Justice C.N.A. Clinton Johnson, voted with the majority on the court against Bouaka and his brother Kun. This woman, for her, is not a political consideration. It's about her respect for the law. Justice C.N.A. Clinton Johnson has been one of the respected female lawyers in that country. So she could not have sold her soul because Bouaka gave her job. This is the kind of judiciary that we should look to, that we should be proud of, that we should celebrate, that we say, whether respect of the fact that you brought me or you appointed me here, I have my oath to the Constitution and to the law, the ethics that I read. We applaud Justice Senior Clinton Johnson, and obviously Justice Wolokoli is one of the most experienced female justices on the bench. Based on her experience, her knowledge of the law, she said, no, this thing these people are doing is just intolerable. It's inelegant, it's wrong, and she voted with a majority opinion. Our female, they are doing it, obviously. Just the Yo had to straighten her backbone to tell the president with all of the political pressure. She even had to ask for them to provide her extra security. Bwaga ain't do it. Bwaga ain't get done. In fact, where Bwaga see he had his own way, he will want that woman to be murdered. Because he just, he has not even shown any decency to the court. He's spitting the court in the face by the statement he made. But we'll get to that statement. I just wanted to highlight the courage of the female justices on the bench, even Liberia globally. It was Angie Brooks Randall that heralded Liberia's flag at the United Nations, where Louis Garcia Brown is now doing his best to get a non-permanent seat. It was a female that did it. Even Liberia history today, globally, politically respected, restored her image on the international scene. Who did it? The first democratically elected female president. After we killed 250,000 people, it took a female to put us back in a respectable place among the Committee of Nations. Ellen Johnson certainly did that. You can disagree how much as you want to do with her, but she did that. It's on her belt. It's to her credit. Our female have done well. They preserve the peace of our country. They are now preserving the sanctity of our democratic constitution. Let's stand with them. So I thank you for the question. I think it was a landmark decision, and we celebrate this decision.
And attorney, I'm so excited to have you today. I think this is your area. You just blossom and like boom, you're out here with it. And this is what happens when people are in the field. They're in the arena where they know what they know, and there's no argument about that. You know what you know. But I wanted to, those of you who are writing your questions here, what I'm going to do, we started like about 20 minutes late. We're going to go at 20 minutes. I'm waiting to see if we're going to, but I'm going to replay.
So if I'm talking too long, you can show me, all right? I get carry away by passion and talk long, but you can show me.
It's passion. I'm that too. So I understand. That's why I gave you. I need the Liberian people first and foremost to understand, because people don't. I'm going to read this to you, what he talked about in the simple possible terms, and we're going to come back. This is Article 2 of our Constitution, what it speaks to. When the attorney said to you, okay, there is a role of the judiciary. They are the final, they have the final say. They say the law is correct. Even if the legislature writes a law that they believe is a law, is good for the country, they have the power to look at it and say, it does not align with our Constitution. Yeah. And because it does not align, it's going to be null and void. That's simple. They have the authority, okay? Because you guys keep talking about separation of power. They see separation of power, you need to come back. But attorney, I love that when you say it was a landmark ruling, which you also went back to explain. I think when we started the conversation in respect to the ruling, I said, this is what happened in America in the late 1800s. After the government, after Lincoln had worked diligently after the Civil War, and they actually amended the Constitution and everything and gave the Amendment 13, 14, and 15. 13 abolished slavery. 14, made the people citizens, but they could not vote. And 15 gave them voting right. When the South got really mad, what they did was they brought in another law. They went to court, a black man got on the tree, and they say it was like maybe like one fifth of black. He was mixed. This guy, if you saw him, he's literally white. He got in a tree in a row, and they asked him, but he wanted to identify. So he said he's black, and they said he must move. So he thought his right would trample over. So he went to court. When he went to court, the court sided on the side of the people who moved him. And that law was called separate but equal. And that when Jim Crow came to be, another way of discrimination. Then they went back to court in the Brown was the Boers case, which was a school people going to, because they had something called separate was the equal. When you hear people say Jim Crow, Jim Crow. In that light, when the justices came back, they said that's still segregation. So they needed to desegregate. So it was a landmark case, and what it did was it noided and voided the court decision from that place was defragative. So this is what happened. When y'all remember when Snooki and say it happened to me, it happened to Tyler. So they were happy again. This is where it stops. And attorney, before you leave, I want to see what would be the next step in this case has passed. How the next step that should be for the legislature to put in place to outspare what are the requirements in the future if this should happen, because there has to be an end game. And that's why people amend the law. That's what laws are made for. When mistakes are made, to be able to prevent that mistake being made in the future. And I think the legislature should have done that when it happened to Snow, when it happened to Tyler. We would not have been here. But let's go to my number 3 question. We will cover this, okay? The third question is, when this case started, Kuhn and his lawyer were saying that the case was political. As such, the Supreme Court needed to not get involved. What is your view regarding this, such an exception? I want you to hold your thought while I ask that question, but I wanted to read this to you and then to the Liberian people. It says in Article 2, this Constitution is the supreme and fundamental law of Liberia, and its provisions shall have binding force and effect on all authorities and persons throughout the Republic. And it says to follow any law, treaties, signature, statutes, decrees, customs, and regulation found to be inconsistent with each other, to the extent of the inconsistency be void of no legal effect. The Supreme Court, pursuant to its power of judicial review, is empowered to declare any inconsistent law unconstitutional. Talk to us, attorney. I'm going to let you reflect. Yes.
So we just came back, we circled back to where I started when I talk about the principle of judicial review.
Right.
Because many of our laws are copied basically patterned after the American laws, and American laws, it's a solid system of jurisprudence. And I was saying to you, it was John Marshall who established all these very, pronounced, deep judicial precedent that we all are following, right? So when you go to Article 2 and you talk about the authority of the court, even the authority of the court, Black knows that. You see, it's also you go to Article 65 of the Supreme Court of the Constitution. Talk about the what? The court should be the what? The final arbiter of dispute in the country. That's 65. You go to Article 66, they say what? All judgment of that court should be binding on everybody. So there's no way you can dance around it. Now, the question about what Kuhn and his lawyers were saying, I think Kuhn and his lawyer were being disingenuous because even in the terrain of politics, some law has to regulate our conduct.
Yes.
Now, to argue that, this is in a political theater and as such, the court should not get involved when the court is given the authority to serve as an arbitrator.
Yes.
To adjudicate cases. Adjudicate sounds like a big word, right? When you adjudicate, it asks all the question, right? Why you say they're looking into things, it's examining things, right? The court has the authority to adjudicate cases, complete argument, to look at it and pass judgment. How can anyone intelligently argue that because this is happening in the legislature, it's a political theater, so we don't observe law yet, the court should not get involved? It was a silly argument. And the court answered that question and said, we have the authority to get involved. The court went to Article 2 that you read, and then went to Article 65 and 66 and said, based on these things, we can get involved. And that's how the court passed the judgment it passed. Our people have to understand it. One of my seniors, I call him my dad. He's a senior citizen now. He's 85. He called me and, he was raising the same issue. But I said, this is political. How did the court get involved? I said that even politics can take place in the realm of law. Because it's politics, it can be void of law. The foundation of the politics has to be law, the
Laws.
respect for
Yes.
the law,
Yes.
the respect for the decency of the
Yes.
law, the supremacy of the law. If we don't apply the law, we have chaos. There were some of our friends who, one of my colleagues, I think I graduated before him, but he's a lawyer too. He was arguing that, but this thing has been done already. What judgment is the court trying to get involved? What is the court trying to serve? What is trying to address? And I sat in my bedroom and I read a piece. It was on Facebook, and I read a piece. I will not call her name because he's a big brother too. And I read a piece. I said, what is the guy doing? We go to court for justice. If somebody, if people come in, he made analogy to even though, so, but though almost left power, he was really controlling bourgeois island, and they played, so he lost power. The fact that he was not in power, he was not president again. But I said, but you're forgetting that even though was, cornered in a small place, we did not automatically crown Prince Johnson and Chancellor President and Vice President respectively, because something got to stop them, right? There got to be a law that will regulate their conduct. They didn't automatically become President and Vice President because they were able to corner door to Morovia. You can't do that because people were able to seize power onto themselves like these people did. And to bribe money, just move the speaker. We say, okay, send them move the speaker, and here go, let them move, let them work with them. It would not be a good precedent that would be setting. But when people are motivated by politics, there is a tendency for them to gloss over the law. And whenever people gloss over the law, we have a problem. The conduct exhibited by Kun and his people remain unlawful. Unlawful. And I am shocked that the president will want to be complicit in this level of illegality. The clumsy manner in which the people claim to have removed the speaker. Anybody who is sensible and wise should stay far away from them.
And Attorney Jackson, while you're on that, let's just ease over to while you're into that, the reaction of the president. People are asking the people you bring on the show. The people I'm bringing on the show, I'm bringing on the show for their expert opinion. Okay. The expert opinion. I'm bringing them for the expert opinion to educate us and also hear from us and hear from you. So yes, this is his view, and you can tell from the passion, his delivery, his style. You can tell him, you can't stop him. Our Gosen, the Liberian people have refused to bring civic in school. Our job, we stay where we are. We will use the resources available to educate our people, to enlighten our people, to awaken our people. Use any adjective to empower them so they can stand up. They're being abused for too long. So while you are it, tell us. But before, while you're going at it, we're in the kitchen. This is the kitchen tonight. Today, the law is on the table. That's what we're doing. You see me? My juice going.
We're eating law today.
Yeah, we're making law today.
We're eating law. We're eating the law.
While we are at, go ahead and then talk to us about the position of the government. And please visit the what do you call it? The justice minister, how he misled the country. I don't think he needs to be in that position. I don't think he needs to be there. I don't. I really don't. So go ahead, talk to us.
But I mean, let's deal with the justice minister. I think, to be honest with you, and I'm shocked that officials of the government are receiving the court's opinion and reacting to it the way they do, because they should be very glad that the court was so magnanimous to the Minister of Justice, because the conduct exhibited by the Minister of Justice warranted for the court to have held him in criminal contempt because he misled the Republic. He deliberately misled the Republic. There was ample evidence to show for anybody who is an elementary reader of the law to know that the court ruled in favor of Kufa. The government was pretending not to understand this ruling. And ignorance of the law excuses why? No one. The Liberian Constitution, Article 76 of the Constitution says, when you take any action, any attempt to abrogate, to undermine the Constitution, you should be charged for what? Treason. Whenever the court speaks, it automatically becomes law. And when the Minister of Justice decided to honor the earlier opinion of the court, the Minister of Justice stood in criminal contempt of court. But again, this court doesn't want too much fight. That's why the court say, look, let's deal with the substantive. The other team will bring it, they will say, oh, we get issue with the other part. So the court itself is wanting much peace. That's why the court took its time to deliver an opinion that will be accepted by every and all reasonable person. This man should be resigning in disgrace. Oswald Twe. And I think if I were Oswald Twe, if he had any scintilla of conscience, he should tender his resignation. He misled the president. And the president of the republic is now verging on impeachable offenses, on impeachable grounds. Because what Oswald Twe did made the country to experience myriad of constitutional violations. It was because of a so-called interpretation that even the Senate pro tempore shamelessly argued in the public that she will pass the budget. And they passed the budget. The man who sat there and passed that budget, that man, the court said he's illegal. What becomes of the budget? The budget, by extension, is what? Illegal. It's tainted in the context of what we call the fruit of the personal tree. The fruit of the personal tree is a legal doctrine that says if the tree is personal, everything that comes out of that tree is what? Is personal. It's of no effect. If this man doesn't have origin in law, everything he does is what? Void ab initio. It's wrong from the beginning. All right? So a king didn't have the legal authority to preside over that budget. And he presided over the budget. That budget is excluded from law. It is tainted, and we can't consider it as holistic. That's the fruit of the personal tree. Common English, common Labrampo, they say, what is not done legally is not done at all. So a king didn't have the legal authority to sit on that budget to pass it, and he passed it. That budget is tainted. And who created this problem? Councillor Oswald Twe. And he shamelessly said he's still going to work. In America, in other places, he will resign. He will resign in disgrace. You know, I mean, it's sickening that even this president will hire simple-minded lawyers who will supply political interpretation to substantive legal issues. It's a shame. It is a shame. So that is the issue with Mr. Twe. If he had any conscience, he shouldn't be going to bed and sleeping. Because, look, Bouaka simplified this thing for the country, right? Because some of us were even taking a stronger legal, technical ground to say, look, Bouaka should be impeached because even within the context of the fruit of the personal tree, Bouaka did not deliver the sooner. Because Article 58 of the Liberian Constitution required the president to deliver this sooner. But the president should deliver the sooner, and the presiding officer should be what, like the Supreme Court said, should be the speaker. Mm-hmm. The man who presided over there, that person, the whole body was owned. And in the eyes of the law, meaning that sooner was not delivered. And if the sooner was not delivered, then Mr. Bouaka has violated Article 58 of the Liberian Constitution, and as such, he should be impeached. That was a strong legal argument we're making. But Bouaka made our work less difficult now. He made our work less difficult now. So when you ask the question and say, oh, Mr. Jackson, why do you make the president's reaction? Let me say this. The president's reaction to the court's opinion was downright disgraceful. It stripped the president of every moral and legal authority to continue to preside as president of that republic. Mr. Bouaka ought to resign. Because what he's done, he has flagrantly disregarded the law of the land. The court interpretation automatically becomes law. He has disregarded the law, and our Constitution says when the president disregard the law, treat the law with contempt, we should impeach him. It is captured in Article 62 of the Liberian Constitution. Article 62 of the Liberian Constitution is clear. We can impeach the president for what? For felony, for violation of the Constitution. He has violated the Constitution. He has violated the Constitution. He said he doesn't care about the Supreme Court opinion. He will go where quorum is. The court had already said where the quorum is illegal. As long as the speaker, the jury, the speaker in law, duly elected in law, as long the speaker, the jury is not presiding. When you side yourself with that group, you are spitting the law in the face. Metaphorically, you are urinating on the Constitution. And by now, Mr. Bouaka should be impeached. But here is what Mr. Bouaka thinks he's doing. He thinks Fonati Kofa, who just won this legal battle, doesn't have the number to go for impeachment. And so he can work with the so-called quorum, and then he will continue to make business. That reasoning is impoverished, is malnourished. It can't stand any level of scrutiny because the Constitution of the Republic of Liberia places all power in the hands of the people. And everywhere where the people stood out, let me tell you, the judgment of the people is above the judgment of Mr. Bouaka.
Yes.
It was the people's judgment that brought him to power.
Exactly.
The Constitution of Liberia doesn't guarantee the president and his tenure. It doesn't guarantee the president the completion of his tenure.
No, it does not in Article 1.
So the president can be removed by the people. The people can stand up and say, Mr. President, since Mr. Kun is corrupted, he and his people don't have the backbone, the moral wherewithal to impeach you. And Mr. Kofa cannot get a quorum. We the people.
We the people.
The Constitution doesn't put all that power in the hands of the executive. It isn't all the power in the executive. It says all the power in the hands of the people.
Yes.
The people can now move to remove Mr. Bouaka, demand him to step down because he has violated the Constitution.
When you go in here, a vice president needs to go. Both of them need to go.
The first thing it says that you're right. On this point, you are right. You are right. But we need to be very clear. We need to be very clear that the power is inherent in the people.
That is correct.
And look, even if you go to our 1847 Constitution, let me read what it says. It says all power is inherent in the people. All free governments are instituted by their authority and for their benefit, and they have the right to alter. They say the people got the right to what? To alter. What alter mean? To change the government, to reform the government. If the president cannot conduct himself in a manner that provides safety for the people, if he cannot conduct himself in a manner that provides happiness for the people, the Constitution says, well, we can alter the government. We can reform the government. So, Mr. Bouaka, he has to be very clear. We have to tell him that the Constitution does not guarantee tenure completion to elected officials, including the president. It doesn't guarantee it. Nowhere in the Constitution it guarantees that the president got to complete his tenure. It ain't guaranteed. The only guarantee for the president to complete his tenure will be what? If the president conducts himself judicially, if the president shows respect for the law. And there's so many arguments to drive home for our people to stand up and remove the president.
Yeah.
The Constitution does not, and I want to emphasize this point, the Constitution does not guarantee tenure completion for the president.
No.
The only guarantee for the president to complete his tenure is for him to conduct himself in a judicial manner, meaning he has to be respectful of the law. If he's not respectful of the law, we can put him out. We can stand out in the way the people did in Egypt. they move Morsi, they move Mubarak. Look, if you flip this argument, go to the Liberian Constitution, the legislature can remove any lawmaker, expel any lawmaker who conduct himself poorly outside the law. Correct? That's what it says. The legislature can also impeach the president. No, it doesn't guarantee that this president got to complete his 6-year term, even if he's insulting everybody and urinating on the Constitution. He can't do it. The people can stand up. If the legislature will not impeach the president because they are corrupted, then the people, the demo, in politics we call the people what the demo, then the demo can stand up and correct the president. But if I were advising Mr. Bouaka, with my experience and my knowledge, I would advise Mr. Bouaka against saying what he said. It's just show to you that Mr. Bouaka is encircled by people who are dim-witted, not very clever people. It would not have caused Mr. Bouaka to have, performed the art of politics upon hearing the court's opinion. What Bouaka Matthew said? He said politics is the art. And he said it's an art of the possible. What would happen if Bouaka had said, look, I acknowledge the court's opinion, I have some disagreement. Notwithstanding, I will work with Kofa, encourage him to get a quorum. I congratulate him, they work together. And down the road, if Mr. Kofa can't get a quorum, he can play the politics and say, look, I promised to work with Kofa, hoping that he will get a quorum. He haven't gotten a quorum yet, and we got to do something else. But he didn't play any politics. He was so simplistic, downright, and just spit in the face of the people and said, look, I will go where quorum is.
Okay.
How was that skillful politics? That was not skillful politics. That statement stripped Bouaka of the moral and constitutional authority to continue to preside in our country. And on this ground, I'm asking Liberian people to stand up for the sanctity of our constitution, our democratic constitution. Let protest, let ask Bouaka to step down. He cannot continue to preside over the country. He has undermined his own authority. He cannot continue to preside.
Okay, thank you, Attorney Jackson. While we are going to closing at this point, I wanted to play this video for all of us. It's not long, but it is so current today to the late powerhouse. Okay, the late powerhouse. I'm gonna play this, and somebody asked me a question. That's my own family, but I will answer them later. Like I said, he and Vice President need to go because he's behind this. He's the one I've been bribing people. They need to go. Both of them need to go. It's not. They need to go. I said it, and I just said it from my mouth. I don't particularly care. So, yeah, we go.
What troubles me is to hear a sitting Vice President, Joseph Bouaka, and his men trying to tear our country apart. We are a post-conflict nation. Our peace is fragile. What we need to do is to reconcile and bring our people together. Not to separate us, not to divide us, not to destroy this country anymore. Joe used to be my friend. He too might have been a friend of Brumsky when I came home. Since he decided to run for the presidency, I don't think Joe and I have agreed on much. But there's one thing I agree with him about. No Congo man should be president of Liberia again. But there's another side of that story, Joe.
Yes, the side of that story said no Congo man to be
president.
Yeah, but one who qualifies to lead the nation to prosperity, that all Liberians are able to be proud of their country and live well. That's the other side of that. I'll play the rest of the video.
Which is spot on.
Yes.
because we have to elevate our country above the tribal politics. Boakai has shown ample evidence that he is a tribal bigot, how he engages in tribal bigotry. The ranking members of the government are all from Lofa County, which is violative of Article 5 of the Constitution.
It's correct.
I mean, we should learn something. You were just talking about the Nima election. I got some respect for the vice president, but the vice president is not sucking into Boakai tribalism.
No,
He played.
no. Attorney, let me say this. Number one, that is he's tribalistic. He's a sexist. He has no moral. Somebody asked, why should he go? He needs to go. I call the person they elected, the Gio. The thing is, this dude come up with this Gio Emmanuel. He was Gio when he ran in 2020, and Prince Johnson was Gio. He did not see that. He was Gio when Groupie and Prince Johnson were leading. He didn't see that. And he supports who diminish women and their position. And attorney, let me say thank you when you just amplify the role of women in the Liberian dispensation, how they have held us, how we're still up, regardless of the abuse, regardless of the disadvantage, regardless of we be disenfranchised, okay, from the table. When the push comes to shove, the Liberian woman will rise up, will answer the call, and will speak up. Angie Brooks, okay? The life of Lima Bowen, whether we like it or not. Ruth Perry, doing a very tumultuous start of Liberia, doing what they call it, the
Transitional government.
Power sharing government.
Power sharing, transitional government.
Yeah. She navigated and stabilized to some degree the ship until things happen. Okay. Then we came back to Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, who advocated, brought some of the best mind who knew what he brought in people like Alexander Cummings, Dr. Gompu, the lady from UNE, Asaye.
Dr. Saye.
She brought those people who their credential at the time were able to give credit to Liberia so people can come and help. Okay, we saw the Lima Bowen in the streets, fasting and praying, going to Ghana to stand up while they have opened women's stomach, rape, and carry on. 250,000 lives have been lost. So he's a travelist for me. What I saw, I grew up in Monrovia during the war. We have to leave our home. I never went home. I don't have baby pictures. Okay, until I came to this country. You preach the same thing that divided us, that killed 250,000 because you want to vote. You're running all over in the middle of the night, spending hundreds of thousands of dollars because you want to show you have power. They all need to go. You got a problem with it? That's your problem. That's not my problem. I'm speaking not you, but attorney, go ahead.
I like your passion on this point, and I like the way you push back. But the reason why I try to absorb it a little bit is that, we can share the labor of the great, but we can't share the spoil. If President Boakai was setting a different example, who had kept in check his tribal tendency, but what happened is that President Boakai conduct to promoting flagrantly this tribalism emboldened Brother Kun. People can take their energy. I believe people.
Attorney Jackson, you just alluded to this. The people around Boakai, the essence of the vice president to be the trusted counsel.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
The essence of the president cabinet to be the secretary, folk, and other brains in other departments, because the president cannot carry everything, cannot be specialized in everything, right?
You're right.
To be the second conscience of the president. They all have failed. Okay?
Sister, I am with you. I'm just saying, maybe if Boakai was dancing different dance and was expressing zero tolerance against tribalism, he had a tribal thing, you're going to have it small. But the fact that Boakai is the first person to promote tribalism, it just embodying Kun, you know what I mean? But to make the bigger point, the Counsel of Bronskin was right that countrymen when I be
Way
president,
back.
Congressman when I be
back.
president,
Way
a
back.
qualified Liberian person should be president.
Yes.
And it is a sentiment that made Julius Nyerere Tanzania to enjoy, to enjoy the level of development that it has enjoyed and to reduce crashing in Nyerere, in Nyerere, Tanzania. Because Nyerere was the president who didn't see trial. He elevated his country, Tanzania, above trial. And we hope that we have a president who will be issue-oriented and lift the country above trial. It matters later which tribal group you come from. It should matter what competence, what love you bring to the table. And that's a bigger message Bronstein sent. And I think it's a message that should be on the lips of anybody who loves Liberia genuinely. You were saying something?
No.
Yeah.
No.
So again, let me emphasize this point. It is a worth emphasizing because it is the legal point on which we will mobilize our people to ask Mr. Bouaka, because that legislature doesn't have the span now to impeach Bouaka, even though Bouaka have committed myriad avalanche of impeachable offenses. Our people, we need to remind them that the Constitution does not guarantee tenure completion for the president.
No, it doesn't.
If the president does not operate within the confines of the law, if the president is the first to violate the law, because here we see a pattern now on the part of Mr. Bouaka, right? There's a pattern of total disregard to the Supreme Court. When the Supreme Court ruled against him on the issues of the tenure holders, Mr. Bouaka found a way around it.
Yeah.
Mr. Bouaka,
let me come in for a second. He's very deceptive. That's all he knows. Okay. The first thing he came out and said he ran on abiding the law, following the law. He was going to abide by the law. The next day he switched. And
he switched.
What he wanted to do. But this goes back though, because look at what Bronstein just said. This is not a new, this is a learned behavior. And
no, that's the man. That's him.
Stop to, they're elevated. It can only get worse from here, right?
Oh, absolutely.
We saw this with the CPP. Okay. I see some of his supporters running around on Facebook saying, oh, Liberian opposition only know how to come together to protest. We came together in 2019, 2018, 2019, 2020. We won. You people, the very group of you came. Joseph Bouaka signed a contract with the CPP that will go to primary. When time came, I said got a post from Mo Ali, when Mo Ali said, when they were trying to do that, the fake black voting, there would be no third way. It would either be UP or it would be CDC. Okay. And that's where they stay with. So they violated the contract. You won corporate, Fortune 500, Fortune 100, okay? Organization to protect and come to your country, a place where law does not hold, where the people in the position of the power decide the fate of other people and their investment. It's not going to happen. So, to come here now and telling us that, so there's nothing new to the Bouaka men or the rest of them running around. They will take lives. They will do. We watch Liberian presidents take lives. Okay. We watch our children lives being taken in the street. Nothing happening. So we have to continue this conversation.
Yeah.
I really think he needs to go. He needs, and here is the good news. Yeah. The people are seeing the light. Some people are defected. Let me show you who is on here now. While you're closing, I will bring you one other lawmaker defected today. He's no longer with them. I know a few of them have left. What you call it? Monserrato lawmaker, Austin Taylor, just broke ranks with them, which is good. And I know a few more will do so. So, Attorney, go ahead and close.
Let applaud Brother Austin Taylor for the courage to break rank with the lawbreakers in the majority, the so-called majority black. You know, look, we have to stand. Liberian people have to stand for the Constitution. The Constitution is clear. It says all power in the hand. The Constitution doesn't say all power in the hands of the president. No. The Constitution says all power in the hands of the people. And it is the people that can alter the government and make reform if the government is not serving their safety and their happiness. So we, the people, have the power. We can't wait for Mr. Boaka to continue to just do what he's doing, urinating on the Constitution for 6 years. We can't allow it. And so the people should stand up the same way it is provided for in Article 38 of the Liberian Constitution, that lawmaker who go outside of the law, they can be expelled, they can't complete the term. Mr. Boaka should be expelled from the presidency. We don't have the people who are supposed to impeach him. They don't have the impeachable span to impeach the president. So we, the people, like was done in Egypt, we can remove the president, will not be violating any law, will be doing it within the confine of the law, because the president's conduct doesn't not promote our happiness and safety.
Thank you. I'm going to give you 2 minutes because we're over our time.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay for closing. Just give me 1 second here. I wonder why you're closing. We just heard that Kuhn and his men have returned to the scene. Supreme Court that they just said yesterday they're not going to obey. Okay. To file a re-argument. Okay. Yes. And I want you to
that move.
Attorney, hold on 1 second. Before you close, I want to say to all of you, I don't live in an abusive relationship. I've never tolerated an abusive relationship. I don't care if you're my family, we run the same blood. You disrespect me, I let you be. I will see you, I will say hello. Something happened to you, I will show up. But when you disrespect me, I've taken my own sister to court in America. My mom showed up crying. No. The court will decide if I want to forgive it, then I will forgive it. Okay? That's me. So let me say this to you. I use the case of CPP because he does not follow laws. He reneged on his word. I told it like great people on this platform. My brother wrote a grant along with my husband with a gift foundation. Walk out office, the people wanted to steal it. He acted that he didn't know. Ellie had to come from room to get involved. In fact, it got to a point my brother told them, if they can't give the money, he will send it back. He will call the gift foundation to take the money back. And it was very embarrassing. He wrote an article in the perspective on that. Okay? I am telling you this. So this is not about, because, listen, whether they say with Cummings or not, Cummings is fine. Cummings is running his business. Cummings is experienced. The world will remember him as the third Black CEO of a multi-legacy organization. He has gone where no Liberian have gone before. We are talking about his ability not to abide by rules, his ability to be, to be deceptive, that he does not know how to be honest. That's what we're talking about. So I'm giving you chronicle of his background and his history. That's what I'm speaking to. So I know most Liberians are used to being abused or being abusive in a relationship, or they're being abusive to other people. I don't deal with abuse very well because you're not allowed in my space after I'm done with you. That's me. Attorney, go ahead and finish your thought. And
thank you, sister. You know, I think let me encourage you. Do your best to resist the temptation from those who want to distract you. They think they can distract. Some of these people want to get under your skin when the critics are coming, and then you go out. No, listen.
No. They're thinking I'm talking. I don't like Waka because of Cummings.
No, obviously. I mean, obviously, you and I share the same view that Cummings was the best opportunity to lead our country to a new future of prosperity. Regrettably, our people did the otherwise, or our people were deceived into believing that 80-year-old men were done the heavy lifting. But to go to the motion for re-argument, let me say this to all of us who follow. The motion for re-argument, it is not, and the not is in capital letter, it is not a substitute for appealing the original decision made by the court. Motion, when you file motion of a re-argument, you are not bringing in any new evidence, you're not making any new argument. All that you're doing if I put it in Liberian colloquialism, you know what it is? It's
No.
almost like a legal hustle. It's a shameless legal hustle to say to the court, say, look, there are certain things, Your Honor, you overlook. You know, you didn't take into consideration this other thing. And we believe that if you guys have taken this other thing into consideration, maybe the judgment will be different. But it's not a new argument. You're not appealing the decision. The decision of the court is final. So these people are just engaged in shameless legal hustle. And I think they're just trying to buy time to steal more like they're doing in our so-called majority bloc. Our people should now stand up and resist all these disingenuous maneuvers that are being set into motion. Don't waste our time. You just insult on the justices for being impartial. You go back to the same people and say, oh, a lot of you overlook here, yeah, can we look at this other thing you must have overlooked? You know, it's show that these people are godless, they are spineless, they are conscienceless. And the court has a right to either entertain or not to entertain it, but considering that maybe the court will want to, basically just for to clarify what it's doing, the court may do it. But it just shows to you that the people on that side, with the so-called majority black, they don't have the gravitas. Our country is at this difficult place today because we have a president who doesn't respect the law. From the inception of this crisis in the legislature, the crisis regarding the speakership, Mr. Bwaka has been complicit from day one. And due to his complicity, I think the president is unfit to continue to preside as president of the republic. And as such, the people should stand up and tell Mr. Bwaka to have a less day. It is in their right to do so. No lawyer will argue against this. If the legislature can impeach the president for wrong conduct, the people can also remove him for wrong conduct. If the legislature can expel its own for wrong conduct, the people can expel the president for wrong conduct. Because as it stands, there is not a judicial remedy that we have against the president. I was saying to you that the court could have held also to in criminal contempt. In Article 61 of the Liberian Constitution, the court, even though I sure the court want to hold Bwaka in contempt, but it can't do it. The reason is Article 61 of the Constitution says the president is immune from suit while he's serving as president. Other jurists around the world have criticized that because the president can go on and just be stealing. As long as we don't impeach him, the law says we can prosecute him, right?
We need to impeach him so we can prosecute him.
So that's what I want to say. But because he want to hide from the impeachment, that's why he going towards the so-called majority black and hanging behind. The president is basically now hiding behind, I don't know, that scare or the trouser of Mr. Kuhn, because he believes if Kofa can get the quorum, definitely Kofa will impeach the president because the president has committed too many impeachable offenses. He can't stay as president. And since Kofa made, I pray that Kofa gets the number to do what is courageous. But if he doesn't have that number, and Kuhn and his so-called majority people will not have the courage to impeach the president, then that right devolves to the Liberian people because all power in the hands of the people. And the judgment of the people is above the judgment of Mr. Bwaka. It is that judgment that the people need to now exercise, that all the political actors need to exercise. And I applaud Brother Cummings for the press release his issue. I applaud former President Weah and his CDC for the statement they issue. I applaud Counsel Gonglo for the statement they issue. Yeah. But these statements are not enough. What we might now need to do is to mobilize our people to tell Mr. Bwaka enough is enough. He needs to resign. He has brought disgrace to the presidency. Mr. Bwaka represents a legal filth that must be cleaned up. He cannot continue to preside as president of the republic. He has brought disgrace to that office. He has undermined that office by the statement he made. I don't think he should continue to be on the throne. And that way, I will end this conversation. Applaud those political actors. They did the right thing. Now we need to move one step because I read Counsel I noticed Counsel Gon's position, and I read his position, but his position is not calling on the people. He said, "Oh, Bwaka should just do what the court say." But Mr. Councilor Gonglo, Bwaka is complicit in this thing. How do we deal with his complicity? Article 76 of the Constitution is clear. It defines treason. What treason is? It said when the president disregards the code and the Constitution, he should be charged for treason. So Mr. Bwaka had done so. I thought Gonglo was going one step, but everybody trying to dance a delicate dance, right? But again, I acknowledge his courage, his bravery to highlight the fact that the president was wrong and that the president need to do right. I'm going one step. When I gave him chance to do any right, the law clear. 62 say when he does the thing he done. Right. Article 62 say when he does what he just did, we must remove him. That's what 62 say. 76 say it define it. This is what constitute treason. This is what constitute felony. So let's put those two together. Then evoke 76. Let's evoke 62. If the majority black can do it, let the Liberian people do it. We have to remove Mr. Bwaka. He needs to step down. I want to acknowledge Brother Moba K. Molu. He got his stand. He mobilizing people too. Moba K. Molu, your stand. Work with CDC. Work with ANC. I understand Joel Taylor was sitting at the table and making position for all these people. We all need to come to Brother Ure. Ure has a political party. Brother Ure. Everybody, pull your resources together. The MPP, James Barney. You know, I got some respect for James Barney. You know, and I want to spread on the record here. James Barney is in the Senate. And Nobly Kanga Lawrence is dragging the Senate in disgrace, and he has not said anything. Why? I mean, he had the courage to criticize the president, say the president carrying the country in the wrong direction. But the James Barney that I know from MPP should tell Nobly, say Nobly, that you are unmolested by incompetence and ignorance. You can't continue to preserve. You know, when Nobly said she took advice from Councilor Oswald Tue, it was the most egregious level of incompetence that she exhibited. Because the law says the legislature is independent from the executive. How do you go to take advice from the president advisor? Nobly. There is a legal advisor office, a judicial legal office to the judiciary. I remember when I was in Liberia, Professor Councilor Jonathan Williams used to be the legal advisor to the legislature. Why did Nobly not take counsel from the legal advisor to the legislature? Why did she go across the road to the president to take advice from the president? The president advisor had polluted the body politic, and Nobly still says there as pro tempore. I think Barney should move her, or Barney should mobilize the people to move her. I think Bill Twawe. So now is the time. I call it, brother. Amara Coney. Hey, brother Coney, you guys are going to disappoint us too. You're going to sit on a woman who doesn't have any scintilla of knowledge, that gross epic incompetence. Is that what going to lead you? And you go sit on a young, how you feel? That woman is unmolested but ignorant. You go to the president, you go to the minister of justice to take advice.
Attorney, we're going to close here. I know you got the people captivated.
They don't want to go. So, my sister, I thank you for having me. The little time I have this weekend, I'm making use of it, and I appreciate you. I appreciate the one and only heartbeat of Brother Pei. You know, he made the best decision. He got the most beautiful woman in the world. You know, but thank you. I like your passion for politics, and I'm glad to be on your show. But thank you very much.
It was good having you. You're a fountain of knowledge. Thank you for educating us on the legal aspect of where we are at this point. The goal here is to bring people who understand their very environment, who are specialized, to talk to us and educate us, because the nation is dying, and we are so used to being abused that that's all we know. And we just said when you were being abused by the people that we trust, that will lead us and create a future for our children and their children and ourselves, a safe haven, so to speak. And then we say, let's just pray. Let's just give them a chance. Those words, okay, I would say cognitive dissonance, okay? It is not for us human to sacrifice our dignity just to belong. or to be in some sort of, I don't know, we're in peace, but we are not. So the nation, our people have been abused so long that we cannot differentiate where respect and dignity is. And all we talk about is prayer. Okay. And I believe prayer without work is dead. You have to hold people accountable, especially those you empower. And to the women of Liberia, especially to the Chief Justice, I have reservation about what was going to happen because I lived through Liberia where justice have betrayed the people. Thank you, ma.
We thank you. And we thank you with all the emphasis we can command. Hats off to Chief Justice. Her legacy will remain forever.
Sister, yes, Sister, I will call you. I know you're bereaved. The people got me all upside down. I will call you, ma. I will call you. So Justice Yo and Justice Johnson. Okay.
Yes, Senator Johnson.
Yes. Not seeing a wave of people on Facebook carrying, the UP or what do you call it, color brigades. They're writing and praising. Basically was the same one who spoke at the Peace Hotel about 2 months ago, and you were insulted. Okay. Today now you're praising him because you think he has another opinion, a dissenting opinion. But you know what? We know the truth and we know what the Constitution says. Here is an attorney who practices in Liberia, who have represented Liberia on the international scene and speaking. Listen, Liberians have to learn to respect people's knowledge. We have to learn that. Liberia have to learn to respect other people's knowledge. But I want to come back though and say to Funani Kofa, even if you don't want the job, thank you for standing up.
Absolutely, we thank Kofa. You see my law books that with me? You see my law book? I got it right on my table. I'm reading my law. I'm reading Scholia. This is the majesty of the law. I got my stuff right on me here. So some of the people who don't even read one literature, they read Mills and Boone every day. They can't say lawyer. Let's get serious. Yes, we acknowledge the courage of Onati Kofa. Let's acknowledge his courage. That's good.
Liberians were involved. We had, this is my first instance. I reset up my platform because it was hacked before that we got to this number today. Because Liberians are interested in what you have to say. Let me just tell you that training.
I'm very humble. I'm very humble. Thank you, sister.
Liberians were very interested, and they're not going. They stay here even when we're having this side talk. So I want to say to the women of Liberia, keep standing up, regardless of the abuse that we have endured, the suffering that we continue to endure. But we will get there. We have the what do you call it, Kamala Harris of the word.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Today we have a woman in Namibia as the prime minister.
Yes.
Today we have women in Tanzania as the president.
Yes. Ellen inspired all of these women. All the women were inspired by our woman president.
So
yes.
Not too long ago, a woman spent 9 months in space.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
When you and I are on this computer to go to space, Black women invented it. When a VP supports a man who says women places between a leg or in the
kitchen. Man, don't dignify that. That's below you, sister. Don't mind these people.
No.
Don't mind these people.
You see, Attorney Jackson, you were born a man.
Yeah.
When I greet my students in my class, the very first day they come to class, I welcome them. And I would tell the boys to excuse me. I'm not being prejudiced. I say, you are expected to be great. I want to speak to the girls. I look at them and I say, you're beautiful. They would say, yes, Miss Martin. They're little girls.
Yeah. I know. Yeah.
You think so, Miss Martin? I said, I don't think so. I know so.
Yeah.
The world will expect you to fall, but you have a major contribution to make.
Mm-hmm.
You are in this class that any other person. You will be protected while you're here. You will be expected to compete in all areas on this team. I want your science to be the highest. I want your math to be the highest. I want your social studies to be the highest. I want your ELA to be the highest. I want you to get everything that you got because you can do it. And I will name maybe 4 or 5 women from different segments of the place and say, so I expect you to have perfect score. My last state test that we administered, that I examined, only one boy, and not just to the boy, that hit perfect score. We had 2 girls from Pakistan. 2 girls, 2 sisters, got 100 on
Wow.
the intro. Perfect score.
Were the MCAs on it?
No, I'm talking about here the milestone, not the milestone, but the interim. The
Okay.
state interim that determines if they have gifted, if they're this and that statewide.
Okay.
And then there were another girl and there were 1 boy. Okay. I show up the next day with a gift card, and the kids were hugging me. I said, I will keep my word when you do what you need to do. Right. So I encourage, just in my house, you bring my daughters. If they bring 97, I ask you where the 3 point. they ain't got no reason not to be 100.
Right.
So I want to say thank you.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Thank you for your voice. Thank you for your knowledge. Thank you for your availability. Thank you for your service to Liberia. We are here to serve. Thank you so much.
Thank you too, and I thank our listening audience. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, let me come back to you. Like I said to you, they were here. They're still here. At least 97 people are still listening. And by the time we're done, maybe 6,000-7,000 would have listened. And we will replay this on the air because I don't know what happened to the guy.
The guy in Liberia now. Okay, but no problem.
It's not. So we're gonna just play it from YouTube. I'm gonna have him play live on that side. So in essence, thank you for being here. You carry the news. This president needs to go. He can't do the job.
He got to resign. He needs to resign.
He have no respect for the rule of law because the law that brought him to power. And he does not understand the law ignorant of the law is not an excuse.
Excuse no one. Ignorant of the law, excuse no one.
45 years of experience, and this is what we get. Ibrahim Traore took 2 years to change the face and have the world listening to him. If I just put a music up for Ibrahim Traore, okay?
Yeah.
People in the United States celebrated are calling him out and telling the U.S. hands off him. You are not treating like you did Colonel Gaddafi. You are not treating like you did Jomo Kenyatta, or not Kenyatta, or what do you call it, Asakari, okay? Namdi. You are not treating like you did Patrice Lumumba. You are not treating like you did Kwame Nkrumah. You wouldn't. So people are standing, okay? And let me say, as I say, everybody goodbye, I'm a proud 1%. That means the 1% are able to stand up and speak the truth. The 1% that can compete anywhere in the world, don't need a government job. The 1% that is moral, that will not take abuse. I am a proud 1%. And Isaac, I know you are too.
Absolutely, I'm a proud president. I associate myself with Brother Cummins. I believe Cummins presented the best opportunity for our country. We mess up on that because people lie and deceive our people in believing the wrong thing. Exactly. And Mr. Bwaga is now proving all of us right that he doesn't have the stamina, the mental agility. I think he's even suffering constitutional dementia.
Okay, here is the young man right here. This is this man. He has left. He will no longer be in the majority group. He has left. Okay, so I want to say thank you for your bravery. So Oswald need to be prosecuted. This is Taylor. Okay, this is Austin B. Taylor. Austin, we commend you for your bravery to stand up for the people and listen to the law because you're a lawmaker. What the law says. You may not you may not agree with it. You may agree, but you did what is right. That said, let's go on, and I'm gonna end with this. My son Ibrahim Traore. That's how we go. We say goodbye to you today with Akon new release. Okay, there we go.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's so long. Courage with faith, you lead the fight. Ibrahim Traore. You don't let rise. Ibrahim Traore. Ibrahim Traore.
We have no copyright to this song.
A soldier so brave. Ibrahim Traore, Ibrahim Traore, the people rise, we stand by your way.